Greetings, Patrick here, Half Cheetah Wheel View, and welcome to Dollar Theater. Dollar Theater is an ongoing review series that we have on my channel. It was originally started for our good friend Hobbs Horror, who is continuously doing it as well. Basically, the premise is that we watch and review movies that we have received for $1.25 or less. It could be by gifts, it could be by film hunting, it could be by going to a local store and finding, whatever it takes, as long as the film is $1.25 or under, it qualifies for dollar theater. All right, so the movie we'll be talking about today, I just picked up from the library. That's right, I picked it up from the library. I looked at it and I said, you know what? It's speaking to me because it's Christmas time. There's a tiny bit of snow on the grass, not too much, but a tiny bit. And I do love all things old as well. So when I saw this come at me at the library, I said, we got to do this and we got to talk about it today. And the film we'll be talking about is from 1945, and it is Christmas in Connecticut. This was released by Warner Brothers. It stars Barbara Stanwyck, Dennis Morgan, Sydney Greenstreet, and was directed by Peter Godfrey. It is a cute movie. What can I say? This is a awesome little movie. It came out in 1945. Like I said, it came out in 1945, and basically the story is two sailors who are fighting World War II, where their ship gets hit, and they're survivors. Two men survive, and this is a comedy, by the way. Two men survive, and they are on the ocean for 18 days before they're rescued. So while they're in the hospital recuperating, our hero Jefferson Jones, he is having a very hard time getting anything solid to eat. He wants to eat, and he can't. So what he does is he's looking at these magazines. And the column for Elizabeth Lane, and he's showing all the great recipes that she has done on her farm in Connecticut. She's think of Martha Stewart way before Martha Stewart, and she's at her lovely Connecticut farm with her husband and her baby, and she's come with all these great dishes, And our hero is, he's famished. He wants to eat, but of course he can't medically speaking because he would have a hard time with that. So his buddy shows him how to do it. He says, if you really want to get a good meal, here's what you do. You got to throw on, and this is hilarious. He says you got to throw on the magoo. Well, what's the magoo? Like really play. Like get the girl to come your way and do whatever. Give her like what she wants to hear. And back there in 1945, the magic word in America for a girl to hear was the word marriage. So if Jefferson wants to get some solid food, he should wine and dine his nurse named Mary. And so he does that, and of course, with the predictable results. Well, anyway, and then we see the real Elizabeth, with the real Elizabeth Lane, and she is a writer, but she is not living in Connecticut. She does not have a husband. She does not have a farm. She does not have a child. She is living in an apartment, writing for. Well, she got a brand new fur coat that she states will cost her 6 months in salary. So she's not making a lot of money, even though she works with one of the more powerful publishers in New York City, and that would be Alexander Yardley, who owns. He owns a massive amount of media, and he only knows Elizabeth through her column, but he has never really met the lady. Nor has any communication. Well, anyway, we hear that that Jefferson Jones really wants to, he wants to be. They want to do something big for him because he's a hero. So, he hears about how Jefferson Jones is, has said that basically Elizabeth's, her writing has kept him going. So they decide to go ahead and, as a promotion, is to have Elizabeth go ahead and invite Jefferson Jones to her farm in Connecticut and cook him a Christmas meal. Now, of course, this causes Elizabeth to panic because she cannot cook. She can write, and that's probably the only thing she can do. She's not a mother. She doesn't have the ranch, and she can't cook. The recipes that she puts down in her column come from her very dear friend Uncle Felix, who has a very, very high tone restaurant down beneath Elizabeth's apartment in New York City. So all the recipes that she's been claiming credit for don't belong to her. She would be having a hard time doing the boiling water, something I could relate to. So what they decide that's what they're going to do. They're going to go ahead and of course and of course she has no choice. She tries to get out of it. Because she has like, what am I going to serve this guy? I have nowhere to serve him. I have nowhere to, this is a lie. So Elizabeth's friend Dudley says, "Man, we got to do something, or you and I are both are going to be out on our ass." So they go ahead and first they try to say that Elizabeth's baby has whooping cough, and Alexander blows that off, saying, "No, that's no big thing. That can be treated with." So so they realize that they're going to have to try to come up with something. Luckily for Elizabeth, there's a man named John Sloan who's very enamored of her, even though she has no feelings back toward him. But he also happens to have what they need. They have a ranch, they have a staff, and so Dudley and Elizabeth says, "Well, why don't we just try to, we'll get married, we'll go ahead and get this over with, and then we'll get out of it." So, but of course, they're not telling John this. So John thinks that when Elizabeth accepts this marriage proposal, that he's in the money, not knowing that he now is being played. So they all decide to go up, and the fact of the matter is they have to get married for real in order to carry this through. And John doesn't know that Jefferson is coming up there to meet Elizabeth, in that respect. And then when Jefferson finally meets up with Elizabeth, it's love at first sight. Various antics ensue, trying both to stay unmarried, because she can't get married to John because that would be legally binding. Also but also stay close enough to him so that he won't smell what's going on, that he's being conned, because otherwise Elizabeth and Dudley will be out on their butt. So a whole bunch of hijinks ensues where it comes down to, getting John up there and whatnot. But then it gets even more complicated. Is when Alexander Yardley, the publisher, he decides he's going to come up for Christmas Day because he wants to see Elizabeth's house. He wants to have Elizabeth cook for him. And now the pressure is really on. So here comes Alexander Yardley, and he's a big, pompous, powerful man. And he's he's bigger than life character, and so the race is on is not only to, and then when Elizabeth falls in love with Jefferson at first sight, and there's a lot of behavior that a married woman would not do, like very openly being flirtatious and walking by herself with Jefferson instead of her husband. It causes a lot of friction. And as far as the baby goes, they have to have a small miracle, and they do. But the first baby they have is from the caretaker of John's estate. He which is a little girl. But then when she has to go home, they have to get another baby to take this place, and it's a bigger baby, blonde with teeth, and it's a boy. So, and of course, Alexander's like he's like totally perplexed, like how what is going on here? All the time, things just keep happening and is escalating at the House of Cards, and so he's trying to get Elizabeth to actually cook. Alexander's trying to get Elizabeth to actually cook for him. He wants to see her cook, including flipping a pancake. And Felix had tried to show her how to flip a pancake to disastrous results. But Alexander's actually insisting that she do it for him. And lo, by luck, she manages to stick it. The faces of everybody are like, oh. Then John starts getting a little bit like, why are we having such a hard time getting married? I mean, he doesn't know about the sailor, about the he doesn't really know about, all he knows is that the he doesn't know that Alexander doesn't know that where Elizabeth works at. He doesn't know that Alexander thinks that she, like this is normal for her, and so it's like he's perplexed as well. So, but when Alexander sees Elizabeth basically not showing much interest in the baby, or really not knowing what to do around the farm, including when a cow escapes, he starts getting suspicious. He starts going like, "Well, something's not right here," because she doesn't seem like a very doting mother. And then one morning when he comes back and he sees it looks to be like someone kidnapping the baby, which is the Elizabeth Lane baby. It causes a national furor. But then if we find out that it's then Elizabeth has to come clean. She has to tell Alexander everything that's going on. And it's a cat, it's basically it's a hairball. Definitely a hairball. And so people have to straighten out their lines and lives and what have you. And it's just a hilarious fun movie. And of course, this is 1945, so everything is going to roll out hunky dory, and that includes including Elizabeth and Jefferson coming together at the end of the movie as well. Uh, wow, what can I say about this movie? This is actually just a joy to watch. I'm so glad I picked it up. Um, this movie stars Barbara Stanwyck. Of course, Barbara Stanwyck was a major star back then. Originally, it was supposed to be cast by. It was actually going to be Betty Davis in the role, but thank God for that. Not for that. That didn't happen. Um, Dennis Morgan plays Jefferson Jones. He was a big leading man back then, and he's definitely debonair. We had Sydney Greenstreet, who was a massively popular character actor, including he also included on the Maltese Falcon. Reginald Garner played John Sloan. Wow, I swear you could close your eyes and you could hear John Hillerman from Magnum PI. It's Higgins. It's crazy weird how exactly they sound exactly alike, and they act alike. It's crazy. I was like, this is really really good, and you could definitely tell John Hillerman must have watched Reginald Garner sometime when he put into a slot and creating the character because they could be twins. Robert Shane plays Elizabeth's agent, Dudley Beecham. Now, Robert Shane, you might remember, he later went on to fame in when he co-starred with on Adventures of Superman, but his career was pretty much almost destroyed. But he was put on the red list. He was blackballed in Hollywood for years because of his suspicion being on the communist watch list. So it took a long time for him to come back and be able to basically make a living. He eventually lost his eyesight, but he still was working even as he was approaching his 80s, and he appeared on the 1990 series of The Flash. He played a newspaper vendor. Like I said, this movie was filmed back in it was filmed and it was where it was filmed at was 1940. It was filmed in 1944, from late May to July. Back then, it's going really really fast. Wartime movies were. So what happened was when you see the movie, the war had already been over since August. So it was a little bit because when the movie was filmed, the war was still on. So it ended. It ended in April 1945 in Europe, and August in 1945. So, but it still plays good. It still plays well. I mean, you still get the sense of it being a war movie. It's like it's showing one of the mothers going to the war plant to work and what have you. One of the and so not Elizabeth, but one of the caretakers of the babies. So overall, this is a fun movie. It did really, really well at the box office. Made a lot of money. Definitely made a lot of money. The acting was great. Of course, he's like I said before, Elizabeth, Barbara Stanwyck, she could do great comedy. And actually, to tell you the truth, this is actually the first time I've ever seen Barbara Stanwyck do a comedy. Most of her pictures I've ever seen of hers has always been, the leading lady. Of course, in Double Indemnity, you had her as the femme fatale, probably the prototype femme fatale. When you think of the term, that's who you think of. You think of Barbara Stanwyck. The very first time I ever saw Barbara Stanwyck, I didn't see her as who she was until I grew up enough to see The Big Valley. She played Victoria Barkley. Up till that time, I had no idea who she was. And she still had fire and vinegar in her, even as she approached in her 80s. She was in The Winds of War, and that was a great role for her as well. Just one of the best American actresses we've ever produced, for sure. They remade this movie back as a TV movie back in 1992. That starred Chris Christopherson and Diane Cannon, and it was directed by none other than Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was ordered by TBS to play on TBS, and it's the only movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger has ever directed was the TV remake for Christmas in Connecticut. That movie was not well received at all, and probably one of the reasons why Arnold has only directed one film. All right. That is our review. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I know this is a long review. It's like 16 minutes. I hope people will take the time to watch it. And we will be back next week with another one. I have no idea what we're watching, but it should be somewhat holiday related, I think. We'll see. But thank you all for watching. Hit the like button. Drop a comment down below. It's been really amazing as of late. I've seen a lot of comments come through on our reviews. I really do appreciate that. That's really fun, and I enjoy answering each and every one of them. So thank you. We'll be back here next Monday. If not, I guess that'll be it. Thanks for watching, and